Challenges of a Paperless Office, Learning Team B, Eric Keene, Ashley Roundtree, and Raymond Coolgrove. Communications 218, IT Public Speaking for the IT Professional, May 6th, 2013. Sherry Green is the instructor. In the introduction, this presentation will cover the challenges of a paperless office, and granted there are several challenges that a paperless office has each day of its existence, and many companies face these challenges to go paperless. And one of the key challenges is data failure. And the reason why I'm saying data failure is you could upload a piece of data and it could be garbled from your OCR software or anything resembling a program to bring a scan into text, like to Microsoft Word or any other program that recognizes OCR software, and you could have that problem of the text being recognized. There's also improper entry of the data, which is human error, and we'll discuss that a little bit further down in the presentation. And also computer backup failure. If you've got RAID drives that don't work, or if you have a tape backup that has gotten demagnetized. Those are two of the biggest problems backing up your data. Or a cyclic redundancy check, CRC for short, and that's for restoring backup data. It's called a redundancy check. If that fails that, then the data is corrupted as well. Or if you have a network crash while the data is being entered, your data could easily be corrupted in that fashion. Also, stolen data from a compromised network can be a problem because they could replace the stolen data with corrupted data or data that is inaccurate. And this is another problem with a paperless office. Improper data entry is the first one, and it's kind of the key in a sense, because it is the most important problematic to a paperless office, because you have to input all the information into a computer, and that input has to be 100% accurate. Otherwise, you have problems with your data flowing into the reports. Human error is one of the biggest keys for this problem, and what I mean by human error is it could be inaccurately entered. You could hit delete on something and delete the whole data file, then you've got to start completely over. Just a couple of the things. When you do have a mistake like this and human error is the key, you have to re-enter everything, and that costs more time and money. Also, another thing that is problematic with this is data failure. And as you can see, I've got a picture of a blue screen up here. The blue screen has had the legal operation. The blue screen must be closed. In other words, that blue screen means you got a problem with your computer and something in your operating system is corrupt, which means your data is corrupt, which means you're going to have to redo the operating system completely, and quite frankly, your data is probably already gone. Or again, here's where I'm going to discuss the redundancy checks. It's a failed CRC5 check. What that means is it's checking your MD5 hash that comes with the file, and if it's any way, shape, or form changed or corrupted, then the problem goes right there, and the data is corrupted. RAID drive failure. If you're using a RAID system to back your computers up, the problem is here, if one of those drives fails and your data is split across all 5 of the drives and one fails, you have a corrupted set of data with something missing. If you put in the wrong type of entry into the data and it takes it and the entry corrupts the data file, here again, a key problem with a paperless office is corrupted data files. One of the biggest problems. Or now, here's one that a lot of attackers like to do. They like to attach a little virus to the data file, which The virus reads the data out of the file, then corrupts it so you can't use it. And again, is a problem because they can use that for monetary gain, kind of an attack of opportunity, if you will. And again, I do believe a paperless office is a costly option because of the fact you have to look for all these things. And not only that, physical hardware protection as well. And if that doesn't happen, and you have to have something replaced on the computer like a hard disk or a CPU or a motherboard, and it corrupted your data, then you have a lot of data entry to redo. Also, a lot of some of the older backup systems use the tape backup. If that tape becomes demagnetized, your data's lost. There's no recovering it, or it's very garbled at best. Data security concerns now. The data security concerns are as follows. With data, putting data in a digital form, there is a risk that it can be hacked or taken or intercepted. What I mean by intercepted is they could be watching the transaction and waiting for a certain piece of data like a credit card number or a transaction number, account number, social security number, anything they can use to steal your identity, and they can hijack it. And again, the risk with this can lead to information theft and a company's exposure to what they're really doing. That's terrible because this is how a lot of companies do go under, is their data has been stolen. If a paperless system does not have the right security, it's vulnerable. This is very true in so many ways. You have to protect the data you're putting into the digital into a digital form. Even though it's ones and zeros, it has to be protected at all costs. This is why data security is such a concern. And you must have a very tight security system on that computer to maintain it. And it costs money to maintain a very tight security system. You have to have IT security professionals constantly monitoring your network 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They either can do it from home or they can do it at the office. At any rate, you have to have constant monitoring to make sure your data is not getting out in the open. Because after all, to you, it's precious and sensitive. Here's one that I like to call crashing and freezing. This is where the computer freezes up or it'll lag for a second. Crashing and freezing. Now, the data can be lost if not saved. What I mean by that is, if you don't frequently save the data as you're moving along through a project, inputting the data, it can be lost. So all that work that you've done, all that time that you've spent putting that in, you have to redo the whole thing. It can put you behind hours, if not days. If you crash a computer and it restarts on you as you are inputting something and that program does not have an autosave option, you have completely lost that data you've put in. Here again, you've got to go back and re-enter the data. The other part of this, freezing can cause the data to be corrupt. In other words, if you're inputting data and the computer freezes, chances are that data you're putting in is going to be garbled, meaning the computer will not be able to read it or decipher it or decode it. And what that means is you have a data file that's completely corrupted. Also with crashing or freezing, your data can perforate or fragment the files, and that also causes corrupted data. Microsoft Check Disk does fix certain problems like this, but not all of them, and it's not that accurate. There are third-party programs that do a little bit better. However, here again, you have to maintain your computer system so it doesn't freeze or crash. Equipment failure, this can be by an act of God, and it's the biggest challenge of paperless office. If a piece of equipment or a computer goes down that the data is stored on, how are you supposed to extract the data out of that? If it's a hard drive, the data is lost. If it's a CPU or motherboard, Again, you have to replace it, and then again, you're not going to be assured to get the data unless you've got a an image of that computer you can put back on there. This is where I'll make the suggestion in the slide, detailed progressive fixes. If the hard disk fails, the data is lost unless it's backed up. This is true. Now, before I go into the next one, I'm going to talk just a minute about Carbonite. A great web-based program that you can back up all your data on. If your company can trust that Carbonite's information cannot be ascertained or logged into by somebody else, your company on a daily basis can back up their files online to Carbonite. They'll pay a small fee, but for peace of mind and going paperless, it's the best option. If the computer shuts off due to an equipment malfunction, again like processor or a hard drive goes bad, even the video card, if it goes out, how can you see what you're entering? Earlier I talked about OCR software. Now if the scanner does not bring in clear images due to the scanning head malfunction, much goes the same for a document if you're trying to read it into Word and the OCR does not pick up what is being done on the document. In other words, it's gook when it gets there. Chances are you have a malfunction in your scanner, and the scanner talking to the OCR software and the OCR software getting the right characters on the page. This is a fixable problem, but it's a challenge for a paperless office. Power interruptions can cause data to be lost and make equipment fail even on a battery backup. This is very true in so many ways, because here with a battery backup, you've only got an allotted amount of time to enter your data or to save your spot and shut your computer down before the battery kills your computer. Chances are if that happens, hit save and shut your computer off. And that's all you need to do. Paperless office challenge prevention. Now I'm going to go over a few common sense methods for a paperless office to work. Now in this they wanted us to bring in steps for a proactive paperless office. Well, here they are. The first one, backup and data files at regular intervals. If you can trust Carbonite, I would use Carbonite because Carbonite is reliable to go paperless. Run computer diagnostics and maintenance programs once a week. Programs like CCleaner or Microsoft Defrag, Microsoft Check Disk, programs like that can upgrade the health of your hard disk and make your computer run better so it doesn't lock or freeze. This can be key in going paperless for paperless office to be a success. Check and maintain your computer equipment. I can't stress this enough. Tear your computers down once a month if you're doing personal backups and get all the dust out of your case, because dust does collect inside of the case, around the fan, the CPU, and it makes it run hotter. Run virus scans on a regular basis. What I mean by this is very simple. If you've got McAfee or Norton or Trend Micro, even Avast and AVG, have you run these on a regular basis. They schedule them so they are automatically ran. You can even schedule them while you're at home and the computer's at work. The computer will automatically run the virus scan. If it catches a nasty little bugger trying to steal the information, 9 times out of 10 that virus is quarantined. To conclude, there are several things that do challenge a paperless office: data failure, corrupted files, power failure, basically an act of God, incorrect data being entered, programs crashing, just improper maintenance. And it boils down to 3 basic things for the challenges. It's man, money, and machine. How much money does the man want to spend on the machine for their office to go paperless? And the equipment is the root challenge of a paperless office, because after all, it's the machine part, and machines do break from time to time to where we have to sit and fix them. Data entry can be by people. that can also be a challenge if the data is not accurate. What I mean by that is if the data is entered inaccurate and the computer picks it up, there's a good chance if the computer really doesn't like the data that it will freeze the computer and tell you and give you an error screen or an error pop up, if you will. Poor planning is another challenge for a paperless office. If you do not plan for your office to go paperless in such a way, then your office will be going paperless will be a detriment. Meaning to say, you will have problem after problem, growing pain after growing pain for your office to go paperless. I want to thank you very much, as always.